Hi, I'm Tricia Morris from Club Scrap and welcome to the show. Have you ever wanted to make a tiny little scrapbook album but had no idea what to use for page protectors? Have I got an idea for you? How about name badge holders? Now the little album that I'm making today is going to somebody very special, only I don't know who it is. I'm going to be mailing this in to pageofthanks.org and they're going to see to it that this gets into the hands of a soldier serving overseas that needs a little reminder of home. Now to start making your album, we always need to have some sort of a cover. So let me show you how we're going to put those together. I've gone ahead and cut a piece of mat board down to 4.5 by 4.5, and I've done that with 2 pieces. And then I have some 6 by 6 yellow plain paper that I'm going to wrap the mat board. Now if you need to know how to wrap mat board, you can go ahead and watch that Maze Book webisode. Lots of great tips over there. But I've gone ahead and done that just to save a little bit of time. Now here I have my 2 wrapped mat board pieces and I've added an inside sheet so it looks really nice from both sides. I'm going to come in with my name badge holder here and I'm going to line it up on the edge of the book cover, and there are these 2 little holes right here. I will mark those with a pen so that you can see where we need to add our hole punches. I'm going to be using a screw punch and we'll just go ahead and punch through the cover. Okay, then I need to transfer those same holes to the other cover. So I'll just stack this. Okay, now you may need to go back and finish the holes one more time with the screw punch. Okay, so now our covers are ready for decorating, and then let's get to those inside pages of the album. For that, we're going to cleverly cut a sheet of 12 by 12 plain paper into 3 columns that are 4 inches wide and then 4 rows that are 3 inches tall. So it's really easy, and of course this formula will be in the design guide. Now, and I've just drawn those lines by the way so you can see how the cutting works, but then here we have all of the inside pages for our album. Now, when I first started out, I realized a challenge that you might have, and I want to guide you through the making of this album process and kind of how I approached it. For the first page, I've decided to have a little bit of an opener, sort of a way to introduce me and my family to whoever is going to receive this album. And Club Scrap has these adorable little Rolodex die cuts from the Rhapsody collection, and this one happens to say, "My story starts here." And I'm going to add another little piece of Rolodex die cut in that rust color that says "Clever." And then how about a little medallion embellishment attached with a brad. So for this I want to add a little piece of paper ribbon. I need a piece that's about 1/4 inch wide. Now what a lot of people might do is put the paper in the trimmer and try to find 1/4 inch and then trim from this side, but we're going to go the other way and then subtract the distance to get that 1/4 inch piece. So now I can cut that. And there's my little piece of paper cut perfectly straight. That's a great way to cut narrow strips. So this little 4 inch long by 1/4 inch wide strip of paper ribbon can slide in those little openings on the die cut, and that's going to be a really nice starter page for my album. And then on the finished one, I just went ahead, added a little bit of sepia ink, and then an introduction to our family. Now our first double page spread is going to use a formula from the Page Planners 2 webisode that I called Color Blocked. And in this case, the pieces are just a whole lot smaller. I've gone ahead and I've numbered them all for layout 1 and 2, and now all I simply need to do is place my blocks of color onto my 2 pages. Now here you see the finished pages, and I've completed it with a stamped image, some sepia ink on all the edges, and some more embellishments carried through from the first page, candid photos, and then a little thank you note for the person who will receive this album. Now let's move on to the next page spread. Now for our next page spread, I'm borrowing a formula from the Page Planners 1 webisode called the 5/7 split. Again, this is much smaller. What that really designs is a larger piece of paper and a smaller piece of paper spread between 2 pages, and then the seams between the blue and the yellow color here will be covered by a narrow piece of rust paper, and I call those paper ribbons. Once again, you know how to cut them now. Now these pages are going to be ready for our photos. Let's bring those in. Here I just have a smaller picture from the backyard and just some scenery from around our hometown and some additional notes to our new friend. And then let's bring in our next page. And now using the 12 square plan from the Page Planners 2 webisode, we have a really clever way just to add some nice accents to this page. And it's just amazing how these little formulas work on these little pages. In fact, one of our members discovered that by taking all of the Page Planners formulas and dividing them by 2 gives you all the formulas you need for 6x6 scrapbook pages. Now here we have our little tiny squares. These happen to be 3/4 of an inch, ready for photographs, additional captions, and embellishments. See how sweet that layout turned out? And finally, on our last page, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. And I'm using that 8 in the gutter formula from the Page Planners 1 webisode. So these are technically our 8s in the gutter. Then we have this other strip of paper that we're going to put on the outside border edge. Let's just jazz that up a little bit with a stamped image. This happens to be an image of some eyelets. And when it's stamped, it really looks cool on the edge there. And then I'm going to come back with my screw punch and add some holes to this, just to add a little point of interest on my page. And then of course I'll repeat that for the upper half to balance it out. And then my finished layouts have the photos attached, and again, just some little captions. This doesn't need to take all day, but it really has a nice presentation. Now on the last page, I found this darling little die cut. It says, "Thanks a lot." And I just trimmed that down to fit. And I've just attached it to the last page with a farewell note and then one more of those little copper medallions to really finish it off. And now it's time to assemble the album. So we're just going to start it with those little copper rings. These are 1/4 inch copper rings that came in the Rhapsody kit. So you might thread that through the back cover, then add your page protectors and one more cover, and then clasp it closed. It's nice because you can always go back and add more pages later on as well. And then for the final album, I've actually gone ahead and added some beads and some ribbons and fibers to those clasps, and of course decorated the front and back covers as well. So let's take a look at the inside of our album and how great all these pages look in our page protectors. Here's the first page where, again, we share our story, and I've taken some pictures from around the community just to kind of remind whoever receives this of home. And then here we're carrying through that embellishment all the way through. Now keep in mind that an album like this is a perfect treasure to give to somebody who is maybe off to college for the first time, on a long-term mission trip, somebody who's just going to need to be reminded that they're loved and cared about. And on this page you can see how those little squares just provide the perfect foundation for my photo captions. And here we have our decorated borders, and really you can do as much or as little as you want with this and get it done in just a matter of hours. Maybe get together with a group of your friends and make several of these. Now this is ready to be sent off to pageofthanks.org. You'll want to visit the site for the mailing address, the layout specifications, and to post your project to the idea gallery. You know what? No matter where you live, as scrapbookers we can honor those who serve our countries. See you next time.
For step-by-step instructions on how to create this week's project, download the design guide featuring special make-it-your-own bonus tips.